You need to go to the hospital now because if you die, I'll lose my medical license. So I left school at 16. I didn't have no GCSEs, and I was going to do 3 grams. Then they mentioned 3.5, and then they mentioned 4. And I was like, I am already like worried. Like, so let's do 4. When I was on my Instagram, open my DM requests, pro. I saw those ass pictures.
Hello, James Morrell. Thank you very much for joining us on the Man Overboard podcast, a content creator, an actor, and much more. I wanted to kick off, right, because you've posted loads of TikTok videos. How did you start posting on TikTok? What started that trend?
It's funny because like a few years ago in lockdown, I was just I left my house in London because I was studying still as an actor. It was my 3rd year. I was just prepping for a play, and we just finished our last play, and I was just about to go into prep for my next play. And then lockdown just closed everything down. Moved home, left my Xbox and everything at my house in London. I was back at my grandparents' house in the spare room, twiddling my thumbs. I was like, what the hell am I going to do, man? I read a lot at the time. I'd read everything I'd owned. So I can't go through and read everything again. So what do? It's just like, I was reluctantly downloaded TikTok because I used to go home and tell my mum to get my siblings off of it. It's like, they're on it all the time I'm here. Like, it's
a problem.
It's a problem, yeah. She was like, nah, you should download it because you'll be good on there. And I was like, I am not downloading that app. Anyway, lockdown happened, downloaded it. Immediate.
Just load it.
The hook was immediate. Like,
it's the most addicting app in the world, isn't it? By far.
Yeah, and it's annoying because you're aware of it as well.
Yeah.
You go home, end of the day, and you're like, what do I do? I could go home, be productive, and do some more stuff, or I just sit down, open TikTok. Next thing you know, 2 hours have gone by. That's it.
The amount of stories I've heard, like, well, when TikTok first came out and started hitting the masses of people nearly burning the house down or like flooding the bathroom because they just leave the bath on because they end up on TikTok for 2 hours and then they fuck off. And
I did the exact same thing. I was at work the other day at the coffee shop, just doing an odd shift, and I was closing down, and I put the tap in the basin thing that I just fill up with water and then put all the stuff in to soak. And I said, don't leave that running because it's going to flood. Because I'll just leave it on the side where all the stuff is. And I walked over to the side, put the TikTok on because I went live, started singing or whatever, and I just heard a dripping behind me. And I was like, nah. Turned around and the whole counter, coffee machine, all the equipment, everything was just drenched. I just turned around, I was like, I can't even be angry because of this.
Done it to myself.
What was the first video you did that kind of blew up? Obviously, how many followers have you got now? It's a stupid amount.
I've got 403,000 now.
Yeah, that's an astronomical number. What was the first video where that started like massively jumping up? Was there anything?
Yeah, there was a very specific thing that happened. I was basically on dating apps. This was in 2021, start of the year-ish. I was on some dating apps and I was speaking to this girl on Hinge, and she organised the date. She was like, "Oh, I'd love to. Should we go for a drink? Let's go. We'll meet at South Bank, and then we'll just go from there or whatever." And she gave me a time, and I was going to see the year below me their play at school, at drama school. So I was like, I'll be there at 3:00 or 4:00, whatever. I'm just going to go see the play. She was like, yeah, that's cool, no worries. Went to see the play, finished the play. It was only an hour. I messaged her, I was like, oh, I'm leaving now. I'll be there in about half an hour. Nothing. About 5 minutes away. I was like, oh, by the way, I'll be there in 5 minutes. Nothing. And I was like, okay. She's on the tube. You know, she's probably coming from far north. You know what I mean? It's going to be more than 30 minutes on the tube. And then I got there and I waited about 40 minutes and she just didn't reply, didn't get back to me. So I made a quick TikTok, just not saying anything, just recorded my face and was like, I've just been stood up, boys. And then recorded South Bank and was like, I'm at South Bank. I'll just go get some beers, take the L and go home. And I literally did. I went and grabbed some beers, had a couple, went home and played some video games. Next day, that video went viral. And then from that point on, because I was in the algorithm, I was just pumping content out. Yeah. And so for a few weeks, it was like single content, like taking the mick out of being single and stuff. And that was basically it. Yeah, got stood up on a date.
So it was kind of something not anything that you could have known or expected to blow up, but you didn't even think, putting the effort into it, that it was going to pop off.
Funnily enough, like my whole life, I've made videos like on YouTube. I've failed seriously since I was about. I think the first video I ever posted, I was about 11 years old, and I did like an eyebrow dance to.
Was it Daft Punk?
I could have. Yeah. It was like the Cadbury's advert. But,
yes, I remember that.
For the song from
it's like a beeping song.
Yeah, beep, 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 beep. But no, I did Eye the Tiger from Rocky, Anyway, I just did that. But so that was the first ever video I posted on YouTube when I was a kid. And then I posted gaming videos. I had my own little brand at one point. It's called The Bearded Strongman because I was 100 kilos at one point, lifting pretty heavy weights. I was moving like 210 kilo deadlifts, 110 kilo bench, which isn't a lot, but like I've never been able to get above that.
Yeah, that's what
It is a lot.
I mean, my mates every Sunday used to do a thing called deadlifting donuts.
Right.
So I would work at the gym that I was working at from 9 till 1, close up, and then all my friends would come in and we'd just deadlift for like 4 hours. Drinking cans of Monster, eating like boxes of Krispy Kreme donuts. There's literally videos on, like, it's called The Bearded Strongman, of like my mate, he would pull the deadlift like 180. I'll just fucking stuff a donut down his throat and then drop the bar. It was great. So
Pretty top tier content, to be fair.
oh yeah. It was a good time in my life. I had my own T-shirt giveaway every week and everything. But like nothing ever came about. Like,
stuck.
Nothing stuck.
Yeah.
So I was always trying to find my way, and then I got into drama school. Basically, documented my whole drama school audition process as well. So from the day that I auditioned. The day that I chose that I was going to audition, I basically made videos at every place I auditioned, my experience, my result, until I got accepted. And then I stopped making content whilst I was at drama school, just because I was like, well, now I'm here to train as an actor. I need to focus on this rather than try to be a YouTuber. And then made a couple of videos at drama school, didn't do anything. And then, funnily enough, it's the app that I said I weren't going to get that started doing well for me, I suppose.
I think lockdown in itself kind of helped a lot of people blow up on TikTok because just the amount of users that ended up on there around that time just skyrocketed.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't think the algorithm knew what to even serve up to people at that point, so it was just kind of go, how about this? How about this? And then as soon as you hit it, boom, there you go, you're off.
I definitely felt that, like you can feel it. Once you get back in the algorithm again, it's like, okay, now is the time for you to, if you don't have a niche, I feel like I had a niche for a little while, but then that went out the window. Further down the line, but if you like me, just pumping everything out there, more or less,
Just life, pretty much.
just
not
life,
like one
yeah,
topic,
yeah. You can kind of feel when you're in the algorithm again, rather than like I do some collabs with Dean Lem, which is one of the funniest British creators in the country, in my opinion. And he has a schedule. He only posts a few times a week, like once at this time on this day, and that's it. Whereas for me, I'm like one day I'll post one video, the next day I'll post 4 or 5. And you can feel within those times of pumping more content out than others when you're in the algorithm. And that sounds really weird.
No, we do it as well. Like you'll go through phases where you'll get X amount of views per video, and then you'll just go through like a dry spell where you won't hit that again, and then all of a sudden it'll start blowing up again. It's really weird how it works. I kind of hate how hit and miss it can be, because sometimes you'll make a piece of content that you think is going to ban and it just does absolutely shit. You're like, this is one of the best clips I've ever made, and then it just fails.
It's so funny. Yeah, that's what me and Dean, because basically I used to do impressions of this guy called Snapshot Eye. That's at least how I know him. Beauty beyond the eye, or whatever.
Yeah.
That's how I kind of went like that. Because the fucking most ironic thing about that is that when I first downloaded TikTok, the first video I ever saw was a video on my mum's life, no cross keys, nothing. Was a video of him in his beige fucking house, and there was 3 of him because he'd used that filter. This was when he had 40,000 followers, nothing. And I thought, wow, this guy's really just dancing. And I thought, wow, this guy's really pale, really interesting, and everything is really pale white in his house and him as well. And I thought, and he was one of the first people I ever watched. And every time I'd go on TikTok, I would search out that guy and I'd watch his content for ages. But when that stuff kind of started, because you'd know when you'd hit a niche, this is going to bang every time. So anyway, the other day when I was with Dean, like 2 months ago now, we did a fucking, because he used to do impression videos before I did. So I messaged him one day. I was like, yo, bro, do you mind if I start doing impression videos? Because he was stopping. He's like, yeah, of course, man, go for it. And so when we'd met to do a collab the other month, I thought of an idea of like doing the 2 pools meet. And the whole time we were filming it, we were like, this is going to bang. Yeah. Like, this is going to blow the internet. Like, everyone's going to be like, pool breed, like Dean and James. Fucking did it fuck. We're most of them like, no, this is too funny. This is too stupid to bang. But it did all right, but like not as well. And it's really funny how like I could post a video of like me crying in my car and that would slap up 2 million views. But like that's not the kind of content that I want to be doing every day just for views.
That's like the regular one.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, and so it's funny that like how the algorithm changes. It's so with TikTok, it's so unpredictable.
I seen a comment on one of your videos when you were talking about like health issues and stuff, and it was saying, "Oh yeah, you deserve this because they're taking the piss out of Paul Breach." And I was like, "What the fuck?" Like the guy's literally, I don't know, has he been like officially done as a predator, or is it just accusations?
I think if it like, I haven't really. I always try to stay away from talking about that stuff because it can get legal and that, and I don't want to put fuel to where there shouldn't be a fire, basically.
Yeah.
Because I feel a little bit bad. But he's defo a narcissist, and he's defo a guy that hasn't developed emotionally to the point where he can look at another grown woman and be like, I can date her and it be just a normal relationship. It's like, I need to date someone that I know I can have some kind of control over or influence. And that's obvious. You know, you don't get I don't know what's the truth, you know. Allegedly, you don't get a 16-year-old pregnant at 24, 25, or 27, or however old he was. Fuck knows, because it's like 19. That's why I try not to talk about it. But like,
it's all right.
Even still, like with that Grace situation, I don't know if you followed much. You know, 19-year-old girl. She's on OnlyFans and stuff, and they met up because she reached out to him to be a photographer, which is such a massive ruse. Like,
of course.
And she played as though she didn't know who he was. You wouldn't reach out to a random dude that looks like a Milky Bar.
That's doing those
takes
dances.
photos on his phone, puts a black and white filter on to be like, hey, I love your shots. Can you take my OnlyFans content, right? So I think if you're 43 years old and you're kicking about like that, like, not to be judgmental, but it's a bit weird.
It is, yeah. I would just judge it as like he's just a bit of a weird don. Like, I don't know if 100%. He's actually done anything legally wrong. He just seems he gives off a strange energy.
If you want to get deep and you want to get psychological, because I'm a fucking huge true crime fan, man, I'll tell you what, I have digested thousands of hours of this kind of content, dissecting, you know, not to say Paul's a psychopath or anything like that, but like different personality types, narcissism, psychopaths, sadists, all this kind of stuff. This is my uneducated and uneducated opinion. I genuinely just think the guy went through a lot growing up. I think he lost his mum, and he doesn't know how to emotionally communicate to actual grown adults. And he does need to have an element of control, and that's why he's dangerous. I think that's my psychological deep analysis of that guy. You know, from digging so deep into
Well, I think that's another like pertinent issue with platforms like TikTok, is that people like this can blow up and there's no regulation on who they are. There's no background checks done. There's nothing. And they're now this person with, I don't know, 1 million followers who could have any kind of background and now has access to all of these people that are their fans. So they have this power where they can just
That is definitely something I nipped in the bud really quickly, right? When I first started out and all my content was driven towards being single, there was an influx of DMs of people being like, oh, I won't stand you up, blah, 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 which is really, really cool and really funny and nice, you know, just being a young lad and having loads of people in your DMs, yeah? But the two people that I decided to go on dates with from them reaching out before I had any followers, both showed pretty intense signs of like knowing you more than you know them because you've got a platform, right? So I realised early on, I was like, there is no nut or no experience with a woman that is going to be worth me getting involved with and getting messy, that could then influence my my platform. And also, like, firstly, I'm not ever going to take advantage of my position if I can even say I've got a position. But secondly, like, you realise the influence that you can have on people that you've just met online because they watch you and they know you. It's like these people that don't have that filter, that they can't look at themselves and be like, I don't want to be a piece of shit, even though I've got the choice. You know, it's dangerous, man. You know, and I see it all the time. I'm like, oh, like with that situation, like you know, a 43-year-old hanging out with a 19-year-old. You know, it's like that wouldn't normally happen.
Yeah, if you seen that on the street, you'd be like, "What the fuck is going on?"
That's
there?
what I mean.
Is that a dad or is that like
yeah, like what you know, what is going on? You know, and so like early days, I realised, okay, now you know, boundaries basically, and having strong boundaries with social media. You know, and some people just don't have boundaries with themselves, let alone with the opportunities that they have when they have a platform and that. I just think it's a dangerous game. You see loads of people coming out. You know, just like it blows my mind, like messaging underage people, you know, they've got a whole ass platform. I'm like,
why would you do it to yourself?
Firstly, what is going on with you that you want to message, you know, inappropriate people, whether it's age, whatever. Like, secondly, come on, bro.
Yeah, it's just baffling, isn't it? How anyone can do it in general, but especially those people who have probably got hundreds of DMs from normal age people, like standard people as well. There's no excuse anyway, but like just pick the right one to reply to at least, bro. Like at least check the fucking bio and make sure that.
I mean, I got fucking catfished 3 times as well.
Yeah,
like when I first started. So I wear my heart on my sleeve. So I just like chat generally to people. Yeah. The funniest one is I was on Tinder and I was matched with this woman called Eve, who wasn't a woman. I'm pretty sure. It definitely wasn't a freaking woman, because fucking just chatting away, and this woman seemed really interested in butt pictures, like all just bum stuff in general.
Overly interested.
Because I changed my age range on Tinder to like 35 to 45. I was like, I'll go for an older woman. You know, change my tactics, see if. You know,
swap it up a bit.
They must just be into seeing men's cheeks. That's
what I thought. I thought maybe it comes with age, you know. You know,
maybe this is mature. Maybe that's what this is.
Yeah, mature. Right? You just prestige level 70 and just move on. I thought older ladies must be into men's, you know, bums more than younger women are, because it's not something you really think about when you're a bit younger, like, you know.
Yeah.
And anyway, I sent some really creative, reluctantly sent some really creative arse pictures that then, fuck me, I was on a TikTok live and then some guy joins and he was like, what's going on, bro? Like, we're supposed to meet next week. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he was like, is everything all right? I'm like, Jack. The guy's name is Jack. I was like, I'm so sorry, bro, but I don't know who you are. And he just goes, I was at work as well. I had my little phone now. I was like, mate, I'm so sorry, I don't know who you are. So I've got your nudes. And I was like, oh, right, he's a troll.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
And I was like, right then, send me my nudes on Instagram. And then I'll swipe off the live and I'll check. And then 2 minutes later, Jack comes back and he's like, yo, bro, I've sent the messages. And I was like, this guy's chatting shit. Went onto my Instagram, opened my DM requests. Bro, I saw those arse pictures.
That's tough.
And a whole ass Grindr profile.
Fucking hell.
So this Eve, who was a really, really pretty blonde lady, who I wish was a really, really pretty blonde lady. I mean, she is, whoever it was he was using, you know. I just went onto the chat and there's a whole ass fucking chat log from Grindr of me and him.
Fucking hell.
All the photos on the Grindr were recent photos that I'd posted as well. I'd got
so they'd essentially scraped like your social media profiles.
Oh mate, they scraped me. They fucking rinsed me dry, even down to my arsehole pictures.
Yeah, bro. That is it.
Just the cheats.
It's bad. At least you can laugh about it now. Do you know, like, Grindr's a dangerous place, man. Like, you never know what's happening on there. Like, I'm bi, so like a lot of my friends are like on there pretty regular, and I just try to stay away from it because there's so many things like that where it's like fake people and stuff. But that is.
I've heard from some of my bi and gay mates talking about Grindr, how like brutal it can be, or just straight up, like blokes will just message and be like, right, I'm here at this time. Do you want to?
Well, I mean, some of the stories that you've told me about being on there,
bro, like I've never actually got with anyone off there, like genuinely, and I'm not trying to like diss anyone who goes on there. Like, fair enough, do you think? But I'm just like, I'm 80% sure I would get clap. So I'm like, I'll just not do that. I'll just at least like pretend to really like someone on Tinder for a bit first, and then do it anyway. But switching away from, I feel like this is a weird segue. Switching away from this type of thing, I really rate like your honesty in creating content. Like a lot of social media creators just make life look amazing all the time. Do you know what I mean? They're just posting beach pictures, you know, like nice food, whatever. You've been going through a lot of health struggles recently, and you've been very open about that online. What's the response been like to that? Has it been tough? Obviously, I've seen most of it's been positive, but like, what's it like when you see the odd negative one?
It's like even today, for example. Like I'm in a really weird place now in my content that like I have shared like a lot of that stuff, my health stuff, and in my head I've thought and I've convinced myself that I'm doing this for these reasons, right? If you know, I don't really have like an outlet or something to latch onto that will save me externally. You know, I just have to deal with it, you know, in whatever way with absolutely nothing, basically. And so I've latched onto social media being like my savior, but also trying to be a voice for other people, because for years and years I've compared myself and my life with everyone on social media, because they're all living their life and they're in Thailand here and they're all fucking America there. And you know, everything is always a highlight of the good shit. And so that has a negative effect on our mental health because we compare our lives and that. I'll speak for myself. I compare my life, and then I look at what I've got around me, and I think, and that's a fucking dangerous game. Like, comparison is the thief of all joy. Mm-hmm. That's the quote or something. And so I decided, when I got diagnosed with Crohn's disease last year, to start doing a couple of videos talking about it for real, because I didn't even know what Crohn's disease was. And then that was fine. Then consistently kept up with my normal content. And then Crohn's, it was all right. And then like a year later, at the start of this year, fucking my hair started falling out. I had long fucking brown hair. That started falling out. And I think the reason I started posting just out of like desperation for like answers, because no doctors were helping me at all. And so the response has been positive, 97%. But like then that 3%, like yesterday, for example, I woke up, started my day, made a coffee, went on TikTok Live, listened to music, having a good time. And then someone joined and was like, have you read the Reddit posts about you? And I was like, nah, didn't know. So I Googled it. That was a fucking mistake. Because people like, I get it. I've had it since I started. You're going to get people slagging you off. Yeah, that's normal.
Yeah.
Like that is normal. Mm-hmm. They're slagging you off and then there's being like just something else. These people were talking. It's a weird thing, yeah, getting recognised. I'm a normal lad. Like, I don't want any of this to sound like fucking like I'm trying to be humble or anything. Like, I genuinely have grown up with nothing. Mum and dad divorced. I'm going back to my mum's house when I go home tonight. I'm on a council estate. All I've ever wanted to do was be an actor and a content creator in some way, or just be a creative in some way.
Yeah.
And so it's weird getting recognised. I don't know how I feel about it, but then I love it. I love meeting people, but it's still a strange thing. I can't explain it to anyone. Especially coming from a place of like always wanting it and then getting it and it's like, oh, this is fucking weird. Because then it does something to your brain. You're like, oh, nah, they know me. Then like
maybe it's not exactly what you thought it'd be as well.
Yeah, and it's never exactly how you think it is as well. Like, you can get humbled a few times as well, which is funny. I've got a few funny stories. But then like with the health stuff and talking about it online, you get received well, but then like you get a few people like, I've got these people on Reddit that are talking about my relationship, my health, like saying things like, he needs a cocoon of women to validate his illnesses, because apparently I've been sexualizing my content recently, which, look at my content, yeah. I might do a get ready with me with my top off every now and again and flex my biceps or whatever, but like, I've got these people saying I'm over-sexualizing my content and I'm like Paul Breach, which I understand some elements because ironically I play a character in my lives and I'll say to them, I'm going to be aggressive to everything you say now because watch the views go up. TikTok loves drama, right? And it works. Mm-hmm. And I'll do 30 seconds and I'll just come out of them like, I'm so exhausted, I can't keep that up. I don't know how they do it, right? So I've got these people saying, he's like Paul Breach, he needs a cocoon of women to validate his experiences of his illnesses and that. And I think his mental health is really bad. He must be in a really bad place. His relationship's broken down. All this intimate, right? So they're slagging you off, and then they're saying, I think he's going through this because of his girlfriend and him has broken up, and his hair has fallen out, so therefore he must be fucking psychopathic. I'm like, yeah, that sent me.
Imagine knowing that much about someone online, like just knowing that much about a complete stranger online. That is weird.
But then that's exactly why I feel the way I feel, because I think, I've allowed strangers en masse to know intimate details about my life. What have I learned? Don't post your relationship on social media unless you're fucking married with kids. Mm-hmm. Don't. Basically, I spoke to my brother about this earlier. I was like, I feel like a bit of a lost puppy, and I'm posting content for what? And the real reason is like, I just want somebody to help me, guide me in the right way, help with my alopecia. I've always identified with my hair. And I need to not do that. Mm-hmm. If I'm going to make content about mental health and raising awareness, then I need to detach myself from that. Because I can't lead with my own journey because I'm not fucking saving anything for myself. Mm-hmm. So when I turn the video off, I'm like, I've just fucking overshared to 400,000 people.
And then it's the afterwards that you're on your own.
And then I'm on my own. And so like now I'm in the process of like, as well as it being 97% received well, I'm not even leaving anything for myself, and I'm not even really properly healing. My hair might be coming back in, like, the pigment and stuff might be coming back and stuff, but like who I was before and that, you're never going to like bring yourself back from things like fully. You always like grow and evolve into someone else. But
The memory always seems better as well. You always look at it in rose-tinted glasses every time. In the moment, you might think something's really shit, and in a year, you'll look back at it and kind of pick out the good bits from that moment, and you'll think of that as like a good period of life most of the time, unless it's like super, super bad. But I think, like, I wouldn't say that there might be some things, obviously it's your personal opinion that you've overshared on, but for example, it does actually do a lot of good. Like, even me personally, I wasn't entirely sure what Crohn's was, and like your videos actually made me Google it and learn what it was in the first place. And then like my brother's been going through some health stuff, and I messaged him like, could it be this? So now he's checking out if it could be that. It might not be, I don't know, but I'm saying it does actually raise some awareness. So as much as those negative comments and stuff probably do have a massive effect, there is still a lot of good it does.
That's what I mean. I think naturally our brains have a think. Mine definitely does. Always goes to what's familiar, and that might be toxic sometimes. You know, just from like growing up and being in certain environments, your brain familiarizes itself with things that might not necessarily be the best thing for you, but because it's all you know, you think, well, that's all I know, so I'll go there. And so, like, I will go through literally 100 comments of people saying nice things. I do it all the time. I read my DM requests. Lovely, 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 lovely. And I don't reply to a lot of them, partly because it can be a lot sometimes. Secondly, I don't believe what people say because I've got this fucking horrible imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome,
right? Which you don't really hear talked about that much. And I spoke to one of my mates in London who went to therapy and stuff, which is like such a fucking... breath of fresh air speaking to him because, he's one of the lads that you might not necessarily think would ever even consider therapy being an option. Talking to him, and he just comes out with like his journey with imposter syndrome and how his therapist helped him with that. I was like, fuck me, like it's a real thing that you don't really hear much about.
You think it's good to have the conversation and to just start communicating with people, and saying like, oh, I am doing this and this helped me, and you just drop these little hints and it can help somebody else, trigger something in their head that makes them go, oh, maybe that's what I've got going on. And help each other out.
Yeah, and a lot of lads don't realise, this is another reason why I post a lot, like raw stuff, is that, men typically, when in an emotional situation, don't or won't or can't react to it. And then that will then double into the next emotional situation. And then they'll all eventually build up and it will just, come to a head eventually in whatever way, self-destructing or, violence or drinking or drugs or whatever. And so I, in my head, when I posted videos of me like actually at my lowest crying and stuff, I've always been crying already. I've not been like, here we go, get another million views out there. I've always thought in my head, like, when I felt like this and I haven't had a platform, because I'm 27 now, only got my platform at 25. What did I do before? And I would fucking search for stories and of people that I look up to, like interviews of actors going through shit or like talking about addiction or alcohol or whatever, just to be like, okay, fuck me, I'm not a weirdo. I'm not the only one on this planet that's going through it. And so that was another reason why I posted a bunch, me at my lowest as well, because I thought if there's other guys out there that can recognise, healthy masculinity, but don't feel like they can express it because they can't cry or like what their mate's going to think or their fucking girlfriend's going to dump them or whatever, which are all real pressures that we face, by the way. I thought maybe I could try and be a little channel for them to like see a dude that always posts stupid, goofy shit actually be real for a bit. Because I've been hit with fucking like three things. Like normal Crohn's disease literally changed my life. Lost fucking 10 kilos in body weight.
So for anyone that doesn't know, like, what is Crohn's disease? How did that?
Okay, yeah. So Crohn's disease is an inflammatory bowel disease. Your immune system is basically against you. It causes inflammation in your bowels, basically. And then there's another one called ulcerative colitis, which there's ulcers in your digestive tract. I'm not too clued up on UC, but one of my closest friends, Mark, has it actually. And I didn't realise until the other week, actually. He was like, yeah, no, I had UC. I was like, because at drama school, he went through a lot. And he was on steroids, similar. I think he was on the same steroids as Dynamo was for Crohn's at the point where he blew up.
Yes.
Because Mark blew up as well. So we were all a bit like, what is going on? We just thought he drank way too much coffee because that guy drank coffee like water. So we're like, you need to, no one can deal with that. You know what I mean? But, and then I got diagnosed overnight pretty much. Your immune system, it's an autoimmune condition. Same with alopecia as well. Your body thinks that there's something wrong with it, so it sends little soldiers to attack healthy soldiers that then turn bad, basically. And Crohn's is in your just the worst place possible, really. You know, some people can't stop going to the toilet. Some people can't go to the toilet, and that was me. Went like 8 days without going. Anyway, long story short, went to the doctors, went to the hospital. The fucking paramedic was like, felt my stomach and was like, you need to go to the hospital now because if you die, I'll lose my medical license.
Wow.
And I was like,
is that serious?
Yeah. And he was like, and I was like, wow, you'll lose your medical license. Poor you. I'll lose my fucking life. Dickhead. Because I had to go get on a fucking bus. So he wrote me a note. He wrote me a letter. He was like, take this to A&E now and get yourself seen right now. Fucking stood there waiting for the bus thinking...
You could have at least got you an ambulance.
Like a ticking time bomb on you.
Because he said to me, he was like, oh, your appendix is going to burst. That's what it is. Because my stomach was in mad pain. Anyway, they felt my stomach. I had an MRI scan. Then they mentioned Crohn's. Then a month later, I had a colonoscopy. Seen my insides. That was pretty cool. And I was like, oh, that's what Crohn's disease looks like. Mm-hmm. And then a year later, start of this year. Well, it happened in November. I shaved a chunk out of my beard and it didn't grow back after a month. After a month, I looked and I was like, oh, that fucking thing's still there. I was like, that is weird. Next thing you know, it just took up half of my beard. That's what went first. And then I was at work one day and I did that and I felt my head really cold. And I was like, oh, there was a huge, about that big on the back of my head. And I had long hair as well, so you couldn't really see it. Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, so that and that. And then my relationship ended, which, you know, I don't really want to talk about. But, like, again, like, come in threes. Mm-hmm. And so, like, going back to, like, the content and how things are being received and stuff, it's like, I'm posting all of this stuff that's happening in real time that I'm actually going through, that I'm trying to like disguise as like I'm being like helping other people out, and I'm not even fucking looking at myself and helping myself. So literally, as of like today, more or less, after yesterday reading the Reddit or whatever it was, and then today like waking up and just thinking, oh, I need to really rethink everything I've even put out there, you know, and want to put out there moving forward. So today I just went through all my content, basically audited it essentially. To take a little break, I suppose.
Yeah, it must be tough to decide what you actually put out there. Like, especially at this point when you've posted so much and been so open, it'll be tough to like change the direction. It's always possible because the algorithm just puts you into completely new audiences all the time. But yeah, it is a tough one. I know you mentioned earlier like your hair being a big part of your personality. It does seem to be coming back a little bit at least. At least you still got the killer mustache.
I
think it must be really tough as well. Like, I feel like it's one problem with men. Like in the UK, something like 50% of men go bald, but like you probably weren't expecting that to happen at all. Like, I'm going bald, but I'm prepared for it. It's going to happen throughout the years.
That's a good conversation to have actually, because a lot of people, you know, and I do get it in my comments a lot. It's like, oh, you know, grow up, it's only hair. Like, I agree 100%. What it is having autonomy taken away from you. You know, if I was gonna bald, at least I would have some kind of warm up to it. I would know it was coming, and I would know I was genetically, you know, destined for it to happen, right?
I love the thought there, genetically. What can I say? Who didn't want to get that one right?
Whatever the right word is. Because I'm half Scottish, and my granddad, you know, we have to shave his head every like 3 weeks. You know, he's pushing his 80s, right? And he's got a thick head of grey hair. And it's the same kind of like head shape and like growth shape, you know, little crowns and all that as me. And my uncle, like, it's just thick Scottish. Everyone's got thick brown Scottish hair in my family. And it was always something I was always cocky about as well. You know, there was a video on my TikTok literally where a guy posted, you know, he pulled his hair back and it's receding, and I stitched it maybe in 2021. Coming back from work one day feeling really cocky about my hairline ascending because my hairline was growing down here. So I thought, I've got abundance of this. So I, you know, and then I showed mine and I was like, could never be me. Just being super cocky, right? So I really identified my hair. And I always, at school, I always had my hair done up. I had a V-cut, so I'd have my hair spiked from back to front. And then I'd have like tram lines. I'd get kicked out of school because I'd have fucking blonde highlights, and they were like, you need to get rid of that. And I'd be like, I'm not literally getting rid of it. Like, I was always the same, even in secondary school. Like, I'd have my eyebrow pierced and they're like, get rid of that. I'm like, I'm literally not getting rid of that. Like,
I saw a picture of the Tom DeLonge looking lip piercing as well at one point.
Oh yeah. Had my lip pierced. That's it. Yeah, I had my lip pierced first actually, I think. So I had my I had my lip pierced, my eyebrow pierced, and I always had my hair done in crazy different ways. Always a different hairstyle every few months. And as an actor as well, when I was at drama school, I had 2.5 years of the most intense trying to find my fucking self ever. And it was always a different hairstyle every month, every term. And every time I'd change my hairstyle, all my mates would say the same thing. They'd be like, you fucking suit every hairstyle. What are you like? Grow up, save some for the rest of us. Yeah. So I always had an arrogance and an ego about my hair because I always thought, you know what, I'm always going to have this. And if I don't like the way I look, or I lose a bit of weight, or I put on a bit of weight, or I get a scar or whatever, I could just do something different with my hair. There is a funny thing in life, not called karma, because I don't fucking think I deserve to go through this for doing impressions of Paul, like loads of people say, but there is a funny thing, there is a funny way of being humbled in life, and I definitely think that's what's happened to me, because I did have, you know, just an invincibility, ego, and about my looks and stuff. Really, I think
everyone has that with the health though. Like most people, especially like young people, don't think, oh, it's going to go wrong till it does. And then once it does, you're like, oh fuck, like it really can change so quickly.
Yeah, and when you're a kid as well, when you've got like parents and teachers giving you advice, and you're like, whatever. And it's that funny thing. It's the cycle of like your parents or someone saying, you're gonna wish you listened. You're gonna regret that. Like, no. And if there's one thing that will be my lifelong mission with my own kids, is instilling in them that I'm being genuine when I'm trying to give them advice. I'm genuine. Don't light fires in your bedroom because it'll burn the house down. Don't try to find out yourself. Just please.
Yeah, just
you know what I mean? Like, listen, take the advice. Because you'll just get humbled, I suppose. That's what keeps me afloat in a funny way. Like, I just think, I'm just being humbled, I suppose. Just I've been a dick on and off, like we all are at some points in our life. Something had to happen, but I just don't think it had to happen this violently. Because every day I was waking up pulling fucking chunks out my hair.
Tough.
And I just managed to get my hair to a length where I could pin it all back. I was even getting an undercut. I'd get an inch taken underneath all the way around. And the fucking snaky barbers, by the way, he was giving me the undercut. The whole time there was a fucking patch at the back of my head. Didn't even tell me.
Dickhead.
He probably just thought you'd like accidentally waxed it or something and just didn't know.
Oh, that was definitely a choice, yeah.
You mentioned acting school there.
Yeah.
What was that experience like? How come you decided to be an actor? Because from what I've seen online, you kind of left school, didn't do anything like that for ages, and then like a couple of years back decided to go to acting school. So what prompted that choice?
Well, I've always wanted to be an actor. Like, I've always had the dream of being a movie star. So like as a little kid, the first film I ever remember watching is Braveheart with my nan and granddad and my mum. That's set in Scotland, story of Scottish independence and all that. And I was just obsessed with Mel Gibson's performance. I thought whatever is happening, I didn't know what it was because I was a kid. I was like, whatever is happening is unbelievable. Like, I want to do what that man on the telly does, quite literally. Yeah. And then I got introduced to Jim Carrey, and I watched all of Jim Carrey's films on and off. Non-stop, every night, Liar Liar. Like, I'd go through phases of watching films every single night for like 3 months at a time, like 90 days straight up. I'd watch, I think I've seriously watched Hot Fuzz about 301 times. I'm dead fucking serious, maybe even more. So I've always wanted to do what the man on the telly does, but like never really understood how attainable that kind of thing was, and also how to make money from it as well. So I went to school. I had a rough time growing up. Dad's an alcoholic, so I had that dealing with going on at home. So then I would have to go at home, and I was the oldest kid as well. So like, I was always the one getting the brunt of everything. And so I would go home, deal with that fucking train wreck at home, and then have to go to school and somehow like go to school. Do you know what I mean? And be present and want to learn English and maths and science when I thought reality was what I was going on at home, right? So I never did drama in school. Never did anything extracurriculum at all. I basically just flunked it. I just took the piss, basically. Like, my sole goal in maths every session was to get sent out until I got sent down to the bottom set, and then I was in the bottom set, which is unbleivably easy, by the way. It just didn't matter if I did all the work because I was down there for behaviour. So I left school at 16. I didn't have no GCSEs, literally, because I picked engineering and PE. Engineering took up 5 of 6 spots. PE took up the 1. I did 2 or 3 weeks at college trying to fucking make a little circuit board. Yeah. Couldn't get the lights to come on, so I quit. So I lost 5 out of my 6 spaces. So I had to do things like I was fixing bikes, I was fucking gardening.
As I say, I did a similar thing. I went to college and did motorbike mechanics for 6 months after school, and then thought, no, I can't do this anymore. It's too much.
You're like, no, this is actual real work.
Can you pick that engine up? I was like, no, I'm skinny as hell. I've got no chance.
I can't fucking pick that. No, this is real work. No, that's basically what it was. I was like, I can't do it. I can't make that light work, so I'm gonna quit. So I lost out all my GCSEs basically. I finished school. I was playing video games like for about a year. Every day, which was amazing. I would definitely go back and do it all again.
What
exactly.
games?
I feel that.
Modern Warfare 2.
Yes, come on now.
And trick shot.
I thought it might have been like World of Warcraft, but no.
Oh no,
Because most people that take a year out to play games, it's usually like League of Legends or World of Warcraft.
Yeah, they get on the role playing ones. Yeah. No, I've never actually played a single role playing game once.
Modern Warfare 2 is an elite choice though. What? So from Modern Warfare 2 to
so Modern Warfare 2, I was trick shotting back then. So like phase and all that stuff.
Optic.
I was banging. Yeah, optic. I was so good. That's the only thing I'll ever big myself up about is being a trick shot. I was unbelievably good. But I just never had a PVR.
The HD PVR.
Yeah, right. Never had my own, so I could never record.
Easy cap.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, never had my own, so I couldn't. Anyway, and I just got so fed up with my life. I was like, I need to I can't literally do this. So I went to college. I got on a course, like a behavioural course, I think.
So would that be a behavioural course for yourself or for others?
Yeah, for me. So basically just if you've got nothing going for you, you can do this course basically. Mm-hmm. And so that's where we was fixing bikes, doing gardening, doing till role play, you know.
It's like a weird version of World of Warcraft.
You were role
If you want to function in society, mildly come and do this role play for a bit of college. And I was like, about 6 months in, I was like, this has got to go. And I was like, right, I want to be an actor. I need to do something. So I looked at the performing arts course, and I auditioned for it. They had a level 2 and a level 3. The level 3 was the elitist of the two, or like the one that you could do for 2 years and then go to university or whatever. And I didn't have any GCSE, so I did the audition, whatever. And they sat me down. Jason and David, like 2 good friends now, like my old tutors, sat me down and they looked me in the eye and they were like, "You have no grades." And I was like, I know. Yeah, I
got a 3KD there.
Yeah. I almost got into phase.
You should see me on Rust.
1v1 me, bro. 2v1 me, come on. And fucking, they looked me down. They didn't say anything after that, and I said, "Yeah, I know, I am me, by the way." Like I did go to school and did fuck it up. But anyway, they were like, "But we're going to squeeze you on the level 3 because you did a really good audition, and you can resit your English and maths, you know, if they let you on." So I got on, did 2 years of college. That was great. Did my first couple of musicals there. And then I auditioned for drama school. Didn't get in. I got waiting list for Aura, which is the school I went to, and then I rejected from Lambda. Then I left college and I started working a couple bits here and there, just saving up some money and stuff. And then I was 100 kilos in body weight. I was doing strongman stuff, that YouTube, bearded strongman, literally. And I deadlifted 200 kilos one day, and I looked at myself in the mirror with a weight up, and I was like, what am I doing? Dropped the weight, went straight to the fucking front desk, sat down on my laptop, booked 2 auditions for Aura, 1 audition for Aura and 1 audition for Lambda, and was like, I need to lose all the weight, stop exactly what I'm doing right now, and go to drama school, because otherwise it's never going to happen. Auditioned for Lambda, got rejection. Auditioned for Aura, got a waiting list again, because I got waiting list from them when I auditioned at college. And then one day, I was about a few weeks after the audition, everything came down. My series ended on YouTube because I've got no more auditions coming up. So I was like, great, another year of working. I was like, do you know what? I'm just going to fucking ring them. So I rang them, and then I rang them again, and then I rang them again, and then I rang them a 4th time. And by the 4th time, they said, yeah, they'll give me a space. So they gave me a spot. But I rang them about 4 times in a day, just was basically like, give me a place. Don't take it away from me. And then I went to drama school, and that experience was a roller coaster. Like, again, being a 20-year-old bloke, like, that like thinks he's in his prime. I thought I knew everything, thought I was the best actor in the world, thought it was going to be a movie, like, everything was going to come handed to me. Humble pie straight away, going to drama school. Everyone's amazing, unreal. Like, every day was like, how the fuck are these people so good? I'm like, holy shit, now it's a mirror up to you. Like, if you fucking come in with these big balls, you got to show the world your balls. Like, you know?
Straight up.
So I worked my absolute arse off. I basically, because it was 13.5 grand to go a year. I'm a council estate kid, didn't have the money. I sold my car, I used my savings. I had $3 grand savings, paid $3,000 into my fees, sold my car for a couple grand. I did a fundraiser at the community hall next to my house. Basically, waxed my legs, sponsored leg waxing. Had a bunch of people from Peterborough, like independent stores and shops and stuff. Like one of the tattooists from Breton, he sponsored a tattoo. My mate Bruno sponsored a whole photography session for a family. So we did like a big fundraiser and raised all the money to go. And then I did my first year. It was like, do you guys have a scholarship? No. Every fucking week for the whole year, not every week, but every like month or two, I'd go back and say, I need a scholarship. Do you have any scholarships? No. And then second year came around, no scholarship. I was like, fuck, mate, there's 13,500 and I've got to live in London. I seriously,
super expensive.
This is not happening.
Yeah.
This is it. And then I was skateboarding home one day and I got a phone call from my acting tutor. She was like, where are you? I was like, I'm just nearly home. She's like, can you come back to the school? She was like, it's urgent. Skated all the way back to school, went into the office and they were like, we'd love to offer you a scholarship. So I got a scholarship for my second and third year. So if this is a message to anyone, lesson, don't just ask for shit, bro. Because if you don't ask, you don't get. Obviously within reason. But, don't be calling up people 4 times in a day.
Well, no, calling up them 4 times a day might have actually been one of the things that massively helped you get in there, though. 100%. You mentioned something at the start of that story, and you were saying how, like, you never thought, as being a kid from a council estate, things like that were attainable, like even the thought of becoming an actor. I was saying to my mum the other day, I was like, and this is a really weird thing to say, and I don't want to be a firefighter, but I was like, I just kind of realised that if I wanted to be, I could actually be a firefighter. But like, I've never, since I was a kid and you had that thought of, I'll be a police officer, I'll be a firefighter, I've never thought about anything like that. And the other day I was like, wait, I actually could go and fucking, if I wanted to. I don't, but if I wanted to, that is a real thing. Like, I could write a book. But most people genuinely never even actually consider like taking a big step like that in life.
Yeah. And do you know what? It's a shame because a lot of people, and mate, I see it in some of my fucking closest mates, it breaks my fucking heart, seriously, that like the reason why they don't try is because the decision's already made for them, because of the stigma attached to where they come from. That's what I'm talking about, like the imposter syndrome. Dude, I'm at social media events sometimes, not so much this year, but last year it was pretty, full on. And I'd just be stood there thinking, I do not belong here with all of these people that are already established, are already got their name, that already go to 10 more of these this month. I do not belong here. And I remember even when I first met my ex-girlfriend, I feel like, I wear my heart on my sleeve, right? And I know people don't usually, but like I can't not in an annoying way. So like one of the first things I said was basically voicing my imposter syndrome. By the way, I'm insecure in ways that like, I don't feel like I belong in certain situations, or like even like hanging out with you, or like, having an attractive girlfriend, or fucking, going to a film premiere. I went to a film premiere last year, like the Cocaine Bear premiere. It's just a small little thing, like a little red carpet. It wasn't nothing mad, but like even being there, I'm like, who do I say thank you to?
What the fuck do I do?
So like, and going back to that fireman thing, right? The only other thing I've ever always wanted to do, apart from the Marines, which I know now is off the cards because I have Crohn's disease, which is a bit of a shame because I think it's 16 to 31. Once you hit 31, there's no, you can't join at all. And there was a period where I was going to quit acting during lockdown. Actually, I just left drama school, just signed my agent, won't get any work. I'm like, right, I'm going to quit. Literally didn't even give myself a chance. I'm going to join the Marines. And I'm still waiting for the phone call back from the guy that I spoke to, right? But obviously now I know it's off the cards. But the only other thing is I've always wanted to be like a copper, like maybe in London, like on the streets and stuff. And so that imposter syndrome is active in every aspect, because it's like I'll think of things I want to do. I'm like, right, I want to be a copper because that's the only other thing I've ever wanted to do other than the army, Marines, or being an actor. How can you be a copper? Blah, blah, blah. All these intrusive thoughts start coming in. It's like, oh, you're a council estate kid. You're literally the enemy of the copper. You know what I mean? Like growing up and always having the bill round and all that kind of stuff, like getting in trouble and stuff. It's just really funny how your brain can literally, you are yourself, but your brain can be your worst enemy.
I think it crops up in a lot more aspects of life than people think it does. And like you were saying earlier on, I think it's something that's not discussed enough as well. Because even in my job, so I work in IT, I'm self-employed, and that in itself, sometimes I'm there going, I shouldn't be. Who's let me control all this stuff? You know what I mean?
Being self-employed, you're your own,
and you're like,
you dictate everything.
Yeah, how is anybody letting me do this? Like, who's let me be on my own?
Who's watching you?
Even just like, because I live on my own now, just doing that yourself, and all of a sudden you're like, who's let me live in a house? And I've got 2 cats, and I'm like, who's letting me look after these cats?
Right? That's the comedic part, I find. Like, you just think, I could just smash every camera up, or like just
that's it. You can do any, just graffiti everything.
Just do whatever you want, whenever. Yeah.
It's
kind of liberating to a degree, I suppose.
It is, yeah. But also, I feel what you're saying about, you know, certain areas in life where you really do feel, you know, uncomfortable, and there's it's almost as if it's like a feeling that you can't understand. You don't know why you're feeling that way.
Yeah,
you don't understand, because it's not like anxiety, it's not like depression or anything like that. It's like a new kind of like,
it's just an uncomfortable kind of like unusual thing that's not normal.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and it's not a lot of fun. But
no, but I always like encourage myself to then pursue whatever is making me feel uncomfortable. So like, any social situation, because sometimes I can get really socially awkward, but then I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this more then.
And I do sometimes wonder, people in professionals and like, you know, big actors, A-list celebrities, surely at some point they've suffered from imposter syndrome.
Well, do you know
as
what?
Well,
a lot of the people that I've met, because I've been to the NTAs a lot. I went 3 times actually in a row, and I was a seat filler. But by the 3rd time, you can understand what you can get away with.
Sorry, what's the NTAs?
The National Television Awards.
Okay, yeah.
At the O2. It's a great opportunity to like just go and have a bit of fun. You could be a seat filler. I don't know if they even do it anymore, like, because since COVID. They definitely do the award ceremony, but like, I don't know how they regulate their seat fillers or whatever. But we just went with drama school. We had the emails come through and they were like, right, whoever wants to go and do it, just sign up and you go do it. First one was great, and then like, you're sat with everyone, by the way, like everyone you watch on the telly, Peaky Blinders, Being Human, fucking Good Morning Britain, EastEnders, everyone you ever seen on daytime TV. And by the 3rd time, I went in a burgundy suit. I looked like I was a cast member in something. I was like, everyone else was in black suits, and I was like, do you know what, I'm going to give it a crack, because once I get in, I am flying under the radar from the fucking people that are sitting people down. And I met this girl called Millie. She's fucking lovely. I was like, right, you and me, we're partnered up. We'll just go wherever we want to go and do whatever we want to do. And like meeting people and talking to different celebrities and stuff, you understand actually a lot of them like are super reserved and super private and awkward and, you know, super self-aware, to the point like the attention side of the industry is the worst part of it. I met Iwan Rion once, who played Simon from Misfits, and Ramsay Bolton in Game of Thrones.
Yes.
Really nasty bastard. Yeah. Also a lovely singer-songwriter as well. But I saw him in a play on the West End, and I went to the stage door and I chatted to him for about half an hour after the show, and it was the most refreshing, lovely conversation, because like, I was asking him about he just had a daughter, and so he missed the first week of rehearsals. So I was picking his brain about like, how do you feel going from telly to West End and your first show being this, and you missed out the first week of rehearsals? How does that make you feel and stuff? And just like getting the vibe from him, he's like just a very private, normal kind of guy that doesn't really like the, you know, the attention side of things.
The bravado and everything.
Yeah. And I've realised as well, you know, I'm only doing stupid TikTok videos, but like I can get recognised quite a lot, especially at festivals as well, which is good fun. But like, there's a weird thing that your brain does. It's like, oh, they know stuff about you that like they wouldn't know if you weren't on TikTok.
Yeah. I can imagine.
And then my brain is like, oh, you know, what do I really want to? I don't know. I'm definitely in a rebirth stage.
Yeah, I feel like you're really thinking a lot of things through at the minute. Like, well, where do I want to go next?
Yeah,
it's a tough one. With the acting career, how is that, like, how's work been going there recently? Because I imagine it's really tough. I've got a friend who's been in a few things, and he messaged me the other week saying, like, the acting strike I completely agree with, but it's going to be really tough until that ends to get any like decent work. Yeah, even in the UK.
Yeah, I mean, like, for example, I would want to go to LA for like 4 weeks for like a holiday, but also like to flaunt off social media and do a bit of acting and that. Because apparently out there these days, it's like, hi, how are you? How many followers do you have? Yeah. You know, whereas it never used to be like that.
It's like influencer central,
right? Yeah. And so like, you know, this time of the year would be great to go out. Maybe a few months down the line, actually, to go out. But because of the strikes, I mean, there's no real need or purpose to even go out as a jobbing actor or a starting, you know, actor, you know. And also over in England as well, I think there's quite a few limitations in terms of potential work and that. A lot of people work overseas from the UK. LA love British actors. Yeah. Well, America love British actors. Yeah.
Especially ones
for playing villains.
Yeah, especially ones that can do good American accents to the point that you didn't know they were British in the first place. Yeah.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah.
What's the other guy?
Idris Elba's a good one. Yeah.
Who plays Loki again? What's his name?
Tom
Hiddleston.
Yeah.
All those lads.
Yeah.
You just fucking come across as American. You're like, wow, you ain't.
If you need another drink, by the way, just let me know.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Just don't want you to sit there like dying.
Dry mouth. Yeah, the acting stuff. Like I had an audition at the start of last week for the Bay show in Manchester. I've auditioned for so much, and I've only got one job in 3 years from my agent. I got myself a couple small things. I've worked with the same director from the National Film and Television School 3 times, which is basically what you want to do. You want to meet people, different filmmakers, different collaborators, and then freaking make your own stuff constantly. If you're not lucky enough to basically bounce from job to job. Whereas I've got one of my closest friends, she is she was always destined to kill it. She's got the most beautiful blue eyes, Scottish, red hair, fair skin, unbelievably talented. She's bounced from job to job, and it's really nice to see, because the trap you don't want to get caught in as a graduating actor is watching all of your friends around you work and get fuming by it, and fucking get angry about it. You just have to put positivity out there. Obviously, there's a part of you that's like, I wish that I could be doing it, but that's as far as that can go. Because if it goes any further than that,
if you let yourself get disgruntled, again, you were saying the comparison thing. It's a similar thing.
Yeah, it's going to rip your fucking joy out of everyday life. You know what I mean?
Literally. Yeah. And I see that on your TikTok sometimes you do a little bit of acting. You do some brunts and stuff, and there's all sorts of little skits and that. Do those kind of things, did they ever play into acting career-wise? Do you ever use them as part of your portfolio or anything like that? Or is it just a bit of fun?
Yeah, a bit of fun. Yeah, taking a mic. Obviously, embracing a situation I didn't think I'd have to embrace. With a bold and that. Yeah.
It suits the role very well, though. Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Also, funny thing is, I'm such a huge Tom Hardy fan. I would class myself not in the same caliber as an actor, but the same casting.
Yes, I see what you mean.
Brooding, grumpy, sort of people you don't want to talk to, really. Yeah. And so when I did lose all my hair and I shaved it off finally, because I basically kept it really patchy because I just didn't want to shave it. When I shaved it off, I was like, fuck me. There's an uncanny resemblance of Tom Hardy's Bronson. So they do it. On my spotlight, I've got a mention in my bio. I basically do TikTok videos. So if you want to go see my work, go over and check my TikTok out. But actually, again, recently, I feel like maybe some of the stuff I've been putting out there could hinder it to a certain degree, because studio, nobody really cares about what goes on. They just want the product, and we are products as actors. You know what I mean? And so you do have to be you do have to use social media as a tool, but you also have to be careful what you put out there. So if you're sharing every element of your life out there, people are not necessarily going to want to hire you, because they're then the rest of that's going to come with it. Yeah. They just want someone to come and do the job.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. If you put yourself out there as perhaps somebody that they could deem as, a risk in any way, they'll just go, well, we're not going to bother with this guy then. Yeah, definitely. And do you think there's any flip side of it where there has been people, I don't know of anybody. The only way that I know is people that have done covers of musicians that have ended up in the bands. Has there ever, do you know anybody that's really that have gone through TikTok and then actually managed to get into acting?
Yeah, so the Cocaine Bear premiere that I went to, the Cocaine Bear film, one of the guys in it, I was watching it, I was like, why do I know that guy? Where's he from? He's an American TikToker. So a lot of people can, transfer, as long as they stay consistent with their content. And their goal and their outcome. Yeah, loads of people. I see it all the time. A few British actors have gone into the West End from their TikToks. I think Hannah, Tesco girl, you ever seen her? She used to do musical theatre stuff in Tesco.
So. Oh, maybe. Yeah, possibly.
This was 2 years ago. Yeah, she went into Heather's and then she went into another show. That's one. Yeah, I suppose you just have to be really careful what you're posting, really.
I suppose it's whether you want to be a like an influencer of sorts, or whether you actually want to be an actor and you're purely using TikTok for your acting portfolio and nothing else is going on there. I guess that's more plays
and I suppose like if you're using it for that, then it's obviously going to benefit you as well if you're just putting acting content out there.
Sometimes I think like we live in such a strange world where you've got to have this balance of like, do I want to put this content out because certain people might see it? Do I want to put this content out? Certain people might see it. I went to a festival the other week, and for like 3 days I didn't have internet. And it actually felt really good for a little bit. And it's like, as soon as I got home, literally my screen time was like 5 hours the next day, just straight on TikTok, straight on X, bullshit Twitter. And I was just like, why can I not just enjoy that for a little bit? Sometimes I feel like I'm missing that connection to like the real world. I'm always thinking about like, what can I post next on TikTok? What can I make from the poddy? What can I do on Insta? Like, it's a strange thing to have around. It's a constant
snowball. And do you know what? That's again, another reason, literally, as we fucking shoot this, I'm so sorry by the way, because I am seriously working through everything that I'm doing at the moment. I went to El Dorado for 5 days. That was 5 days off my phone, sunlight, people, booze, music. I can't tell you how beneficial that was. Like, but again, as soon as it was coming down, as soon as there was a pocket of signal, I'm like, you're just on it straight away. And you're like, right, I need to catch up. But actually, you don't realise. And this is another good thing for like the mental health talk as well. When people say, you know, are you drinking enough water? Are you going for walks? Are you having a bath? Are you listening to music? And you're getting angry at them like, I've called you up because I'm having a crisis. I don't want to have a cup of tea. It's fucking true. Put your phone down. This is to me, you know, because I'm so addicted to it at the moment, you know, put your phone down. Just stop asking yourself, what do I want to post next? What can I do for the podcast? What can I do? What can I, you know, I do it all the time. I'll go for a coffee and I'll be sat having a drink. I'm like, fuck, what can I film here now? Like, can I not just enjoy the coffee?
I read a book called Stolen Focus at one point last year. And I can't remember what the author was called, but it's a really big seller. And it's literally about how like the social media companies, etc. And it started with Gmail, have like purposely made these algorithms so that you're so addicted to them. And I think most people are aware of this at this point, but they're already in the trap. It's too, like their brain is already in that. And I remember like I go through these phases. After reading that book, I managed to get my screen time really low for like a month or two.
Right.
And then like I actually deleted some social medias off my phone. Then like a few months later, I found myself having Twitter again. Then I was like, oh, well, I've got to get TikTok back to post for the podcast. And I was like, oh, well, I've got to get Facebook back to do that. So then by like a year later, the progress I'd made from reading that book slowly faded away.
And do you know what? That is a process of addiction.
Yeah.
That's your brain. That's the disease of addiction. You know, I've definitely become well more empathetic towards people that describe themselves as addicts, or like, you know, and the stigma that comes towards from that, because like before you just think, you know, I would just think ignorantly, oh, just stop fucking doing it. As you do. Stop doing what's harming you. And then I had my own battle with addictions and stuff, especially when it comes to social media. And the disease is your brain justifying you. You know, oh, I've read this book. I've done 2 months. Do you know what? I'll just download Twitter.
Let's go on Twitter for an hour.
Do you know what? I've just had Twitter for 4 days. I fucking need to put my clips out on TikTok. Let me just download. Do you know what? I've done it. And then next thing you know, you've got Facebook, Twitter, Bebo, fucking MySpace, all open on separate tabs. And you're filming a podcast whilst doing a TikTok all at the same time. And then you no wonder you're laid in bed with no hair, fucking thinking, what's happened to myself? Like,
I don't know if we can blame Bebo for that one. Quite. That's probably a bit too far.
MySpace, you know. But yeah, like it's real. And I think a lot of us are aware of it. We just choose to because, again, like it's comfort, and comfort is familiar, you know. And laying in bed on your side like this, just scrolling is like,
it's easy, isn't it?
It's so easy.
The thing is as well, it's easy to kind of cast the stone at somebody else, like you're saying, that is quote unquote self-described as an addict kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I think that if somebody's got to the point where they've actually, you know, they've recognized that they are an addict and they're now classifying themselves as one, that's such a massive step for somebody to get past, to actually realize that what they're doing is
regardless of whether or not you're like battling physically, stopping whatever you're going through. If you can look at yourself and say, I'm addicted to this, then you are miles ahead than you ever think you are.
Yeah.
And there is so much stigma attached to addicts as well. You know, when all of us literally are one.
Yeah.
You know,
to
some degree, you know, with some kind of vice, you know, and it becomes dangerous for you. Like when my addiction goes from like, you know, scrolling TikTok to then like, you know, I don't know, wanting to drink a little bit more. And then you're like, oh no, I'm drinking all the time now. It's like, then when, you know, it's just all about self-awareness, you know what I mean? You know, as long as you're aware of yourself and you can look after yourself, great.
I know you went on a guided mushroom trip recently.
Mate, that was unreal.
I wanted to hear about that.
That was
definitely.
unreal.
Yeah.
Seriously. Like, I was so nervous because basically these people reached out to me on social media and were chatting to me for a few weeks. And then next thing you know, they hinted towards the plant medicine. And I was like, oh, what's that? I'm well intrigued. Anyway, long story short, I drove all the way up to Manchester to meet people I've never met before. And so I started thinking, because like I said earlier, I'm a massive true crime fan. So I'm starting to think, right, these people, I've not told a single soul the address that I'm going to. They could be like murderers.
Grinder part 2.
Yeah, it's Grinder part 2, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, make
It's
a
like-
great TikTok.
Yeah. So I'm like driving to this place. I'm like thinking, fuck, man, these people could could murder me or whatever, have their way with me or whatever. No one would ever fucking know because I've not told anyone where I'm going. So I had that anxiety feeling. And obviously when you're going into a fucking psychedelic trip, you don't really want to take anxieties with you. If you do, you need to be aware of them rather than just being anxious and be like, I'm going to do it anyway. You have to be aware of you have to be so aware. So got there, I was chatting to them for ages. Fucking lovely. Like so peaceful. And like their home was so quiet and it was so peaceful. And I was like, what is this feeling? It's amazing. Talk to them, and then long story short, a little while goes by, and then they mention I was going to do 3 grams, then they mentioned 3.5, and then they mentioned 4, and I was like, I am already like worried, like, so let's do 4. Apparently the hero dose is 5 grams, but I don't really know. Correct me if I'm wrong. Whatever that means, fucking superhero dose, whatever. So I was like, do you know what? I'll do it. And I went, and I was so open, and I was at the peak of this breakup that I'm going through as well. So like, really on paper, kind of the best and the worst time to do something like that. It was the most beautiful experience of my entire life. We made hot chocolates, went upstairs, the ceremony started, opened a space, did not a prayer, but like a message to the guiders, the channelers, played a 15-minute song of affirmations. It's amazing. I'll give it to you guys afterwards. I listen to it at least once a day, genuinely. And so I drank the hot chocolate, did the 15 minutes, then I wrapped myself in the quilt. And I remember the last thing I remember was them two saying, just get under the quilt. I said, nah, I just want to be wrapped up. And then next thing you know, I opened my eyes and I was in this, I was in the same place, obviously. Yeah. But then I looked at my hands and I was in like wide angle lens. So like everything was kind of like elongated, but I looked really strong and not muscular in a traditional sense, but like masculine. And I looked and I had blue blood coursing through my veins like Avatar. And I was just so amazed. And I went through different periods of being really happy and elated. And I need everyone to experience this now, to then extreme like emotion. And, you know, I cried through it, and then I'd laugh at the fact I was crying, then I would cry at the fact I was laughing. And then every terrifying thing that came to me, because there were things that were terrifying, things that blow my mind. I was like, this is not real. Were coming to me, but it was making me laugh because like my trauma, like my dad and all that kind of crap from childhood. And I was like laughing because I was like, none of this is even real because it doesn't exist anymore. It just happened at one point. It doesn't exist. And so the journey helped me just 1% scratch the surface of like seeing things for what it is, rather than carrying so much weight around with me, you know. And then the visuals were unreal. So the guide, one of the two, him and his girlfriend, she was laid there and he was just sat kind of like this. But like, you know, Doctor Strange?
Yes.
And he sits like this and his head goes like this, right? And it's moving up. His was doing that. And I was like this. No, I don't want that. I'd look away. Like, no, I do want that. And I would look some more and I would just stare at him like, and then next thing you know, he just starts levitating off the floor. And I was like, no, is this happening? And then I'd look away. But then because I was verbalizing things, because they took the shrooms as well, he thought I was not accepting what was happening. So then he went on this journey of him thinking that I thought his music was shit.
Oh no!
I loved every single thing that they did. Every second of whatever it was that they did that guided me through that trip, I loved. So there was not a single thing that I was just reacting to my kind of the things that were coming through my channels. So I felt really bad towards the end actually when we first started when we were coming to and we were talking about it. I was like, oh mate, I'm so sorry. You know, of course I didn't think music. I thought it was amazing. I was so grateful for what like I'd experienced with two complete strangers. But I highly recommend it in a ceremonial setting like that, intimate. You know, the next thing is ayahuasca as well.
I was about to say that, yeah.
Because I've not dabbled. I used to just be so scared of psychedelics because I used to just be like, I'm not in a good mind space. But actually,
I've never done them, and it's literally because I'm like, I don't feel like, I'm a little bit anxious sometimes. Yeah. I feel 100% in my brain right now. If I were to do them, it wouldn't go well. So I feel like if I did, it wouldn't. But I don't know. So
my advice, genuinely, is to accept that you feel like that because that is a fact. That's how you're feeling, but it will be okay. And you have to, I actively set my intentions. So I wrote in my journal, I'm anxious about this. What do I want out of this? I just want some kind of guidance to something, whether that be good or bad. If it's bad, I accept it. It's going to be bad. But that bad thing that's being shown to you is not real, firstly. It is real, but like, firstly, it's not going to hurt you. And secondly, it's being shown to you for a reason. So when I was having like faces come up to me, all these people that were being a dick to me in my life, especially my dad, just like coming up laughing. And so I recognized I've taken shrooms. I mean, I'm on a trip. Come on then, mate. Come on in. What are you going to do?
Bring it on.
You're going to do nothing. And that's literally what my bravado was. I was like, come on in. And then like, I looked out the window. The sky was amazing. The clouds were breathing. I mean, everything just came alive. And the one thing I took away from it was, regardless of what happens to me, my face, my hair, my body, if I break down in the next 5-10 years or I die or pass away or whatever, I'm just going to go straight back into the earth. And like, it is just going to be, you know, we are just a moment. I know it's so deep to say, but that was my genuine takeaway. I was like, I can be anxious and angry and upset and emotional as much as I like, but it's inevitable what's going to happen.
And so these feelings that you've got now, like what you're just expressing then, did you have anything close to that prior to going into that experience? Did you think in that way at all?
No.
Or has this completely like rerouted your brain?
Yeah, I didn't think. I was so angry at everything. I still am angry. I'm well angry. Like, why is this happening to me? You know, I wanted things to be different. So I am angry, but it's like, how long do you pursue that emotion for? Before you like get fed up. Like even today, like I woke up this morning and I kept on forcing myself to go back to sleep. Even at like 10 in the morning. I'm usually an early bird, man. First thing in the morning, wake up, do my journaling, all that kind of stuff. Like, I'm like trying to force myself to stay asleep for longer. But this, you know, that's a choice. And what that trip helped me realise was just like, you know, the end is inevitable. So like you have to choose what you pursue in the meantime. That's emotions as well, you know.
It's a tough one. I think it kind of, in my head, when you explain that story, it came full circle to me at that festival. I know it's not the same thing at all, but you know, I was saying you're missing that connection to like realness and real life and like what stuff's actually about instead of like this fake world that we've kind of developed in our heads. It feels like you got brought back to that, and maybe this week you try to reroute yourself to that place.
Oh yeah.
Which is
definitely
it's a good thing to have experienced. I'm slightly jealous in some ways. Like,
you should definitely do it, even if you're an anxious ball of mess, and it is a terrifying experience. You have to remove yourself from it to a certain degree, and you know there's no such thing as a bad trip. You know you're going to experience what you're meant to experience. That's another thing that helped me realize. Like things happen for a reason to a certain degree. So you know if you're a dick, you're not going to get good things come to you consistently forever. You might have it for a little while, but like if you're putting good things out there, and you got a good heart, good intentions, she'll look after you. Right?
Yeah, it should be all right.
Yeah, that's it. But speaking of psychedelics and festivals, we have a question that we ask every guest that we have on this podcast, and that is for their dream festival headliners, right? So what we do,
alive and dead,
is alive, dead, and you know, bands, single people, whatever it needs to be. We have a Friday night headliner, a Saturday night headliner, and a Sunday night headliner.
Friday night, big party.
Yeah.
Friday night, Nirvana. Live. I know that's a
big shout.
Yeah.
I like that.
And then Saturday night, Linkin Park as well.
Do you know what? When I first started the podcast, Linkin Park were one of my picks because when I was about 16, I had the opportunity to see them. They were playing in Sheffield. Yeah. And I think I chose to buy a quarter of weed instead. I was like, no, actually, I'm not gonna. I'll spend it on this instead. Yeah. And then like 6 months later, he unfortunately killed himself. Yeah. So it's like. That's the one biggest musical regret I think I'll ever have in my life.
Yeah.
It was all for...
How was the weed though? Was it all right?
Yeah, probably not.
Some star dog from around the corner.
Yeah, exactly. Just from some dude on the estate. It would have been shit, but you know.
Oh, mate. Yeah, I'd love to hear both of their voices live, you know, and you just won't get that again, except from a recording. You know
Proper unique artist.
I got quite lucky with Linkin Park. So in Download 2014, I got to see him do Hybrid Theory in full, and that was unreal.
My friend just went to Download this year and was like, because I was going to go with him, but I didn't. I ended up going to El Dorado. But he was like, unbelievable, because I'd love to see Slipknot live as well.
Oh yeah, there's something else. There's something else.
They were there this year as well.
Yes.
I think did you go this year?
No, I didn't.
I think who headlined twice?
Metallica, because
they were like, we were going to have two headliners.
Yeah. They did the Thursday and the Saturday.
Yeah, that's it.
That was it.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just I'm like, I went to watch Tenacious D in Berlin with my mate Owen.
Come on.
And there was mild mosh pits, because you can't really mosh.
Because it's Tenacious D.
Unless they do a cover of a big...
or they do the metal or something like that.
The metal.
2 songs.
Which I'm pretty sure there wasn't a mosh pit in during
Wow, amazing.
It might have been, but I actually think there weren't, because I think everyone was just watching. Like,
going, this is insane.
Black, what the hell?
Do you know what? I was at Truck Festival a few weeks ago, and I've seen School of Rock when I was a kid, but I've not seen it since been a kid.
Oh, yeah.
And it was proper chucking it down at like 11 at night, and like the DJs weren't coming on till like 12:30, 1 or something, and there was this big barn that was undercover that was showing School of Rock. So me and my mate was like, just go get a pint and go in there, and it was class. Yeah, like they had a big projector in the festival in this big indoor bit. Everyone was singing along to it and stuff, and like cheering.
It'd be a sing along one then. Yeah,
there was no lyrics though. Everyone just knew it. It was
don't need
unbelievable.
lyrics for School of Rock.
Do you know, it was like half 11 on a Saturday night, and I was there with a pint and a vape, just at this random rainy festival, and watching School of Rock. I was like, yeah, this is actually sick. You know? It's about, you've got one last headliner anyway.
Oh shit, yeah.
You got your Sunday night.
So Sunday we get people that sometimes end on a big bang, you know, all the fireworks and that. Some peter it out.
There's a guy called Tamino, who's I believe is an Egyptian musician. I could be wrong, but he's very chill. It's not something you'd want to headline the last big party, but I'd love, Nirvana, then Linkin Park, and then Tamino.
And then just cool your way out of it.
Yeah, because I saw him first ever at a day festival. I can't remember what it's called now, in London. And I just walked past the tent and I heard this angelic voice. And I was like, who the hell is that? He had about 80 people in the tent. I went in there. Mate, since then, his voice is just unbelievable. Like, super angelic, the best way to describe it is Egyptian.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know? Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'd have 2 big blowouts. The bigger on the Saturday and then chill on the Sunday with Tamino.
That sounds pretty amazing. We've come full circle with the Hybrid Theory Funko as well. We've mentioned Linkin Park even before the podcast started. That's why they're on your mind. That's why you're ready.
Oh, subliminal, yeah.
Well, to end things off, I wondered, throughout your time on social media, what has been the weirdest experience or interaction you've had with someone?
Oh my God, this is the funniest. Talking about being humbled every now and again, yeah. So I was walking through Peterborough, where I'm from, town, just going to my mates or whatever, and I walked past these 2 girls, and I looked to my right in the window, and I see them both look behind them and start talking. I could hear them talking. Mm-hmm. So I thought, in my awkwardness, I'll carry on walking, but then I'll stop, but then I'll walk, and then I turned around, and I basically went like that, and they were like, anyway, long story short, they recognised me, and they came walking towards me. So I was like, oh, you know, blah, blah, started talking, and they were like, oh yeah, we watch your videos and stuff, and then it just went silent. And usually I'm really good at like not allowing awkward silence because I hate it, but I was really stumped, and it felt like they were waiting for something. So I was like, do you guys want to get a photo? And they were like, we can take one of you if you want.
Oh no!
In the middle of Queensgate, there's nothing around. All the shops to my right were all closed off, and I was like, it's okay, thank you. Nice to meet you though. Goodbye.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. Did you let them? Did they take a photo of you?
No, did they? No, I should have. It'd have been.
Did they tag you in on Instagram? Just be you like,
just met James. Why is he asking us to take his photo for him? But yeah, that's one of few like funny, humbling moments. It's like, you know, because sometimes people just don't know how to. You know, you get, especially like younger people as well. I was in H&M with my mates the other day, and I said to them, before we go in, I was like, we were talking, they were like, oh, would you get recognised, blah, blah. We were just talking about getting recognised. And I was like, I hate it because I get recognised all the time. People will be like, Snapshot eye, Paul Breach, whatever. And I ain't done a video about that guy in over a year.
If you're walking down the street and people are shouting Paul Breach at you.
Right? I'm like, shush. You know, woo.
You just put green grass on. So get a strut on.
You know, start doing a little dance, yeah. Fucking hell. And we were in H&M and these two girls, like kids, were, I'd shit you not, an arm, like arm's length away. And we were just in there, and I could hear them right there, like, and then getting me up on their phone or whatever. And I jumped down. I was like to the boys, are they like whatever? Stood up, whatever. They didn't say anything until I eventually turned around and was like, "Yo!" And then I had to announce myself, you know, like, "Is that me on your phone right there?" And they're like, "Is this you on your phone right there?" And so you get a lot of that sometimes, which is really sweet because obviously, like, we just, you know, I just think like, just say hello, just literally just say hello because it's fine. I literally, you know, fart and pee and live on a council estate. It's literally just say hello because then it's weird when you can see people recognise you, don't say anything, then you go home and then they've commented on your video saying, "Oh my God, I saw you today here." I'm like, oh, just say hi because it's fun.
Just come up. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
But, yeah, some funny stories.
It's good ones. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. I feel like we're going to do this again at some point. This has been a very good episode.
Yeah.
So, watch out for part 2 and go check out James' socials if you haven't already. But, thanks for listening.
Thank you very much.
No, thanks for having me.
Boom.